Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So here I've already mixed up my oils together. I have Kaolin clay, castor oil, um, coconut oil, palm oil, olive oil, and then we also added some other things like kaolin clay and a little bit of titanium dioxide. I don't like to use a lot because I feel like it ends up cracking the soap, or not cracking, but it makes those little crackly images that I don't like. I mean, it has a time and a place in soap, but I don't want it in this one. Anyway, so I also added something different today. So I added almond oil, which was new to my recipe, and I added real coconut cream, not just plain old coconut milk that everybody else adds. I added the coconut milk and a little bit of the cream added in as well. All right. So in the video, you see I already got all my colors mixed. I just added the green to the base with a little bit of white on top of that, swirled it together. And then I added a little bit of white to the main green color, mixed it up, and added that on top to add a little bit of a gradient. And I'm hoping that comes out really nicely in the soap. So I'm going to add a little bit more white just to get a nice swirl pattern going with a little bit of depth between the two greens. And then my next step is to add a very solid color of orange. I think if I add that thick bit of hot orange, it really will separate the two parts of the soap. So we'll see how it turns out. So anybody new to soap will look at me going, why am I pouring this on the back of my spoon? And the reason is because I don't want to pour that soap and have it dip down. It's already going to do that, but by using my spoon, I'm preventing it from going all the way to the bottom of the soap. So you're going to see a little bit of soap kind of coming down in a U shape, but by pouring it onto my spoon, it's going to spread it out a little more evenly, and so you won't have just this solid bit of soap right down the middle. All right, so we've added that thick amount of orange. I think I've used almost all my orange that I put aside for this middle section because I really want it bright, and then I'm adding in some white battered right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stir that up, and I don't have any pattern, any rhyme or reason. I just want it to have kind of a random swirly pattern. All right, so my next step, I'm going to add a little more white, and then I'm going to top it off in a minute with some very neon pink mixed with a little rose gold in there to add some sheen. And then on top of that's going to be a little orange, and then I think a little more white. And that should tie the base of the soap together. That is what I envisioned Caribbean dreams to be. All right, so let's see what happens here. That white swirl on top looks so nice. It just really did what I was hoping. So I'm not going very deep with the popsicle stick. I'm really keeping it shallow. That I don't want to go into the orange below. I'm afraid that it's going to be too much of a swirl. So I'm trying to keep the bottom part with the green and white swirl separated by that thick bit of orange, and then on top with the neon pink, white, and tad bit of orange. And I pretty much am finishing off the orange right here. So we got it nice and smooth on top. I went ahead and I knocked it on the hard surface real quick to try to get any bubbles out of the batter. I'm just finishing off with any last bit of white that I have. That's going to add one last bit of a swirl, just kind of adding some, not texture, but adding some dimension into it. So we're going to see what happens up here. All right, so I went ahead and I added a little bit of what green I had left. I It's going to be a little bit lighter because I added the rest of my white batter into my green cup. So it's going to be a little bit lighter because I wanted it to look more like leaves, and it just kind of created a perfect opportunity here. I put all that batter into a piping bag and waited a few minutes for it to thicken up to where I could pipe onto the soap. And I'm just kind of creating a little swirl pattern here. My goal is to have it look like leaves underneath flowers. So, my attempt at being fancy, well, I guess I was being lazy. I didn't put a tip in the bag or a coupler or anything. I just was like, I can throw this in the bag and cut the tip and everything will be great. But, when you're working with soap, you get stuck with those time constraints. And I probably didn't have the time to put a bag together. I probably found it thickening up very quickly. So that's why I probably did this method. But you do have choices and you do have options. So when you find yourself in a situation with your batter starting to get thick, hey, don't worry about prepping the bag. Just make sure the batter's in there and give it a snip. You probably could even use a little sandwich bag. That would be fine. Just remember, cut the tip very fine and use an extra thick sandwich bag.